This is episode 2 of the Extreme Mothership Adventure. I've escaped Australia and we're here in New Zealand on day 2 for what the guys are calling Training Day. We left the township of Lee yesterday to travel to the western side of Great Barrier Island to a place called Haratonga, and last night we scored our first New Zealand snapper. If you've never been on a mothership, today I'm going to go through some of the gear we've got on board and show you roughly how things work. Full catering, it's the way to go. It's the only way to go. Look at this, delicious. We'll head out for a couple of sessions, we'll throw some plastics, some jigs, and the crew and I will get onto some solid fish.
Oh, coming up. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous fish.
So we'll have a morning session on the kayaks, an afternoon session on the boat, and then there'll be a surprise 50th birthday for Aaron the captain. So sit back and come along and let me show you this amazing place called New Zealand.
These fish, for their weight, fight proper.
Alright, we are just woken up to some beautiful coffees, it's awesome, but we are now day 2 at Great Barrier Island. Gonna wait for the sun to come up a little bit, gonna wait for this coffee, but we're gonna hit that water straight away this morning and get into it. Plan for today, morning session here at Great Barrier. Hopefully we can upgrade on some of the fish that we got yesterday. There was some probably 4 or 5 kilo fish yesterday. That's gonna be the morning session here. Then we're gonna jump in the boat and we're gonna head off up to the Mokes. Then I'm told that that place is beautiful. We're gonna grab some liveys and some kingfish, and man, I'm looking forward to that. But yesterday I only took the heavy plastics rods out. Today we are going to take the slow pitch spin rod out and see how that goes as well. We're going to throw that bad boy on there. I'm going to throw some jigs. The kayaks and the gear seem to work pretty well yesterday. You can see that everything's still floating up the back there. But they've been super comfortable so far. You can tell it's going to be an awesome day. Pretty hard to wake up to this, hey? Over the next 10 days on the Bounty Hunter, Captain Aaron and his crew offer a fully catered service to us. So we woke up every morning to warm jugs of coffee and hot croissants that had been heated in the oven. We were given lunch boxes full of food, everything that you needed for an 8 to 12 hour session on the water. And when we got home overnight, there was always something made, like beef cheeks or fish tacos or pasta. And I'll show you that as we go along through the trip. So in terms of kayaks, we are running Hobie's most popular kayak, the Hobie Outback, except one guy, Steve Tapp, who actually worked for Viking, but he designed that reload that's sitting off the back there, and that is his kayak. The other kayaks are all pimped as much as we could with the Burley Pro products that are the latest stuff that is on the market, and that's what we are here to test. One of the cool things about mothership fishing is that technically all you need to bring is the clothes on your back. As soon as I got onto the boat, the guys hooked me up with pliers, scissors, and knives, everything terminal that I needed for my stay on the boat. This being an R&D trip, however, I've also brought some tackle and some gear that I want to give a go while I'm here. Prior to launching as well, Marty met up with the guy from Catch Fishing, John, who owns that business, and that's one of the bigger tackle companies in New Zealand. So over the next 10 days or so, you're going to see some of their product in these videos as well, as we collect a little bit of content for those guys. But the only thing that you do need to definitely do on the boat is tie your own knots and rig your own gear. Today I'll be using the 7-inch jerk shads at around about that 3/8 to 1/2 ounce jig head, and that's going to work really well for me in the shallows. The guy that I'm going to be listening to today though is going to be Steve. He put us all onto some good fish yesterday, but today the group is going to split up into 2 teams.
So Marty, Ian, Pete, Cam, you guys can all head out to the left, and Byron and I, we will head down south. So we'll go out to the island that's just out from us, and then work our way south from there. So the idea is hunt that wash zone and kelp zone, and try the shallows, and then we will fish the contours.
So with Steve's plan in our brains, we jumped in the water, I got into my kayak and started pedaling. But today we've got the cameras out, we've got the 360 on, we're going to do a little bit of filming for the boys, get them on camera so we can get some big fish. pumped, man. First cast of the morning. Probably just start out wide and then I'll move my way in. Start out wide here and then I'll move my way into that rock, that front side of the island. I've got the wind pushing up on it, bit of swell. We went off the left side yesterday. The boys have been into it already. They've been catching fish, but we're gonna try this side. We're gonna go right this morning. While I was in relax mode, I kept getting radio calls about the wicked time that the guys on the Northern group are having, and this is what they were going through. Pay attention to Cam here over Bo's left shoulder, and you'll see him just hook up right there.
On the drop, bro, like right under me.
The cool thing about watching Cam over the next 2 weeks is that it's his first time in a pedal kayak. He's used to offshore paddle kayaks like the Viking kayak, but on this trip he experiences the pedal kayaks for the first time. And I'll be the first to admit it was amusing watching him getting the hang of it. For these guys, it was fish after fish. Bo in the background there is about to have his turn.
Oh, what a fish. Yeah, boy. Yep.
There's some insane fish to be had. Check out this bad boy from Peter Pan the Flying Man and check out the background.
I'm just giving it a couple of taps.
The fish from the Northern group goes to Bo though. Watch, he doesn't pedal once in this. Watch the kayak get absolutely towed.
And like that. Yeah! Run. Oh no. Yep. And Rob Field was saying she ain't done yet. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Woo!
Another nice bird.
Ah!
Yeah, we're coming over your way,
Woo-hoo! Yeepa! We got a double! Ho-ho!
Not to be outdone by that fish though, Bo went 2 from 2 and pulled in this absolute donkey straight afterwards.
Ah!
So those guys were killing it, but Steve and I and that southern group were really struggling around this island. We weren't getting any attention at all until we got to the back side of the island, and that's where it really started to fire for us.
Yep, hit. Yeah, hit. We're on. First fish of the morning. Not a big one. Head shakes. Yippah!
Are you under the lift?
At 16-pound braid, 20-pound leader. Good way to start the day. Look at this girl. Good way to start the day indeed. Look at that. Look at this. Oh, look at the colours on her. Oh, just off that peak back there, that raft.
We picked up a couple nice little fish off that corner there, and then Steve said, let's go find some big ones.
Straight to that point, you think?
There's that big boulder in the middle of the face in front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, just start from there, I think.
Does that stick out to you as a feature?
Sorry?
Does that stick out to you? Like as a fisherman, you see that and you're like, yep, I like to hit that?
Yeah. What I'm looking at is, to the left of that, is that bit of boulder and ground.
Yeah, I can see it.
So what happens there, you could get sort of kelp and what have you amongst the boulders, and baby crayfish.
Ah.
So we get a lot of snapper right in shallow on ground like that.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
The benefits of having Steve next to you, a pro that knows the area, are pretty invaluable. From out here, he's already called that we should go over to a spot and let's check out what happens.
There is some fish here. I'm gonna put you on my head, helmet mount, see how we go. So we can pick those up. Oh, as soon as it hit the bottom, we got touched. Ah, yep. Ah, yep. Get away from the rocks. He wants to go back to the rocks, doesn't he? You're not getting there. You ain't getting there. That little bommy, I can see it in the water there. It's probably halfway between that shoreline and where I am. He got me in there. Must have been able to get him just back up. A little bit of colour coming up. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Ah, yes! Oh, oh, bro. Oh, my goodness me. Check that out. There, let's go. Let's go and push over here behind the boulder. So we got a little local fish or something. A little resident snapper. Yep. 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 Those golden colours.
Now the camera accidentally fell in here, but he called it. Check out the kelp and check out the boulders underwater. Now we were sitting in about 60 foot of water and you could see the bottom. It was insane. You'll see in a second here the bommy that I'm floating over the top. So you can imagine just these pillars and bommies and huge rock features underneath the water that just come up from 60 foot all the way up to just under the boat, a couple of feet under the boat. And there are these pillars and pins absolutely everywhere. And of course you can imagine that meant there were fish everywhere. Yep. Yeah. Oh. These fish, for their weight, fight proper. Oh. Proper. Right, there we go. Got colour. Good size snapper. Ah, oh, good size snapper. Oh no! Oh well, we saw it. Oh bro, bad knots, hey. Knots good, not good. Now while I was having a ball of a time fishing the wash and getting used to finding snapper, Steve was actually sitting out wide and watching how I handled the kayak. Over the next 9 days, we'd be pushing these kayaks as far as you'd want to take a kayak, and he was working out from a guide perspective how far he could actually push me. Marty was also doing that to the Northern group, and in my opinion, it's a smart move. The training day serves as a day for me to get some currency fishing, but for the guides, they get to see our skill level. Ultimately, if something goes wrong on this trip, the kayaks, the anglers, the mothership are going to be a long way from home, and personally, that factor gets me pretty excited. That didn't mean Steve wasn't fishing though. At the end of the day, he told me he'd caught a bunch of fish, but Steve, this is the only fish on your memory card, mate. What's going on?
Yes, it's a snapper. Gotta love snapper. Yeah.
Alrighty, so that was the morning session. We got a few fish there, lots of fun, but we have been called back. So we're gonna go up to the Mokes now, go for a kingfish jigging session. We'll jump in, load up the kayaks, get everything ready so that we can make our way. We've still got this big snapper to go though. We haven't caught the big snapper yet. I want a big snapper, something over 10 pound. I reckon I got close, that one that I dropped next to the boat. I don't know, probably 9 pound I guess, but they reckon they can get to 20, 24. I am there. This is what we want. How beautiful is this place? It's bloody amazing. Rightio, we're pedaling back. Thought I'd show you what the bounty hunter have given us for lunch. I got this bacon quiche, looks delicious, a muffin, nuts. I had 2 muesli bars, I ate one before, but full catering. It's the way to go. It's the only way to go. Look at this, delicious. Right. Again, if it's your first time mothership fishing, you basically get back to the boat and you hang out and wait for your turn to load your gear and your kayak. It's a great opportunity to clean all your kayak up, grab all your scraps and your rubbish. It typically takes a couple of minutes for each angler to get their stuff sorted, but it's not too long. So after we're done here, we were on the boat and off to some pins to look for some kingfish. Now, while the boys rigged all the rods up for us, I took advantage of the time and started working some of the multimedia and content stuff that I had to do. About 40 minutes later, when we finally arrived there, I asked Marty for his best jigging technique, and this is what he gave me.
So think of it like punching somebody in the face while you're opening the top cupboard to get the Vegemite out.
So Marty was zero help at all. Now, I don't attest to being an expert at jigging, and I've got to tell you, jigging 300 gram jigs down at 100 meters depth is actually quite fatiguing. I took a step back and watched these guys have a go. Unfortunately, we didn't pick anything up at our first pin. So it was rods away. Aaron jumped on the throttle of the captain and took us to a couple of new places whilst we had a couple of drinks and refreshed. As soon as we arrived at our second spot, things looked up and Pete hooked in straight away. Yeah!
fish. Oh, I lost him.
Oh no! But unfortunately he dropped it, and as we all know, when you're fishing with buddies, if the guy on the left hooks up to a fish and you don't, well then the next guy that's going to hook up is the guy to your right.
Yep, Steve's on.
Oh, I dropped it. They're only little ones.
Triple drop.
They're only little ones.
So with the second drop fish there, in a matter of minutes, we made the decision that the fish was small and we moved on to our third pin. It was pretty hard to not sit back and take notice of Arid Island that was sitting in the background there, particularly because we knew we were going to fish it in a few days' time and there was a lot of activity going on that we could see from afar. So we had one last drop and Bo ripped into this bad boy.
Yep. Fish on.
Ah, that's a snake.
He's got someone else. Did he have someone with him?
Yeah, just there.
As Bo collected his first barracuda, we saw those deadly teeth and nobody wanted to get their hands near it. So it went straight back in the water and we were quite happy not to have it kicking around on the boat. Because the fishing was slow, we got that one fish and a couple of small bites. We decided to chalk this one up as a loss and move on. And well, that was okay with me because that meant we were on our way to the Mokes. And we're gonna get pretty familiar with them. Over the next 3 episodes, you're gonna see some big kingfish, my biggest snapper, and some epic fishing in some beautiful waterways as the sun comes out. It took us a few hours to get there, but by the time we got there, it was late afternoon. Never been this place, but the Mokes. I'm gonna get a drone up and show you guys what this looks like here. But apparently it is beautiful. I've just arrived, it's dark. So I just threw the drone up. I'm not 100% sure whether these shots are going to turn out all right, but we are in this little cove here next to the islands underneath the lighthouse, and it's given us a fair bit of protection. I'm hoping there's not a lot of rocking and rolling tonight because the weather is not looking great. After looking at some of these drone shots through my iPhone screen, I can't wait till I see this place in full light. It does really remind me of Peter Pan and Never Never Land with Captain Hook and some floating islands there. This place looked absolutely insane. Captain, hey Aaron, give us a wave. So we're taking this bloke out. We've got 3 kayaks in. The rest of the boys are just going to chill out because they're a little bit tired, but we're grabbing some rods now, grabbing a couple of kayaks, and we're going to jump out. The boys are prepping stuff for us. Let me hold the story here. So this is all a ploy to get Aaron, the captain, off his boat. It's not his 50th birthday, but because he's getting old, we've made up a fake story that he has told everybody that it's his 50th birthday. It was pretty easy, but all we needed to do was get him off the boat for around about 25 to 30 minutes. And then we'll come back and the boys have planned a giant party tonight. I can't wait. I probably can't wait. All right, let's get fishing first. The boys went to town on his boat, setting up party balloons, banners, and somehow they found a disco light. When we got back on the boat, it was dark, and to his surprise, the bounty hunter had become a party boat.
Oh, bro, you're gonna have some sound,
Don't worry, we got more.
Truthfully, it was just an excuse for a bunch of lads on a boat in the middle of nowhere to have a good time and tell some tales about some big fish that they never caught. It's pretty fair to say some beverages were had. In the next episode of this epic mothership adventure, we continue to land fish after fish as we explore the Mokes. We all get pelted by some pretty hectic weather, and I catch my PB snapper for the trip. Yes, yes, yes! It doesn't stop there though. We have an encounter with a shark, and a couple of the boys go over a meter with a couple of really nice kingfish. For lunch, muffin, nuts, another muesli bar. Got some water on me. That's what you do. That's what you do. Can you give me 30 seconds without saying or on the radio? That'd be real nice. Righto, so we're pedaling home. I thought I'd show you what the bounty hunter have for us for lunch.